Danny.
Train's moving, yo. All right, welcome to the H on H, the 605 and the 601. Welcome to the Bodega, 175th Street and Audubon Avenue. What's up, Danny Reiser? Para mis oyentes de español, bienvenidos. Somos los JuJuBeez. Back and better than ever. Presumably, Doug Reiser.
Doug Reiser coming at you.
Ashley Mae King. I'm Rosie. We are the JuJuBeez. Okay, On the Stick, a movie that, at least at the time of this recording, was released just a few weeks ago. Release date, June 11th, 2021. Directed by John M. Chu, based on Lin-Manuel Miranda's Broadway musical of the same name, In the Heights.
Yeah, so the stage musical was originally released in 2008 and was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Chiara Alegria Huris. It focuses on the Washington Heights neighborhood in Upper Manhattan and its predominantly Dominican residents. This film, and I did not know this, was originally slated to be made all the way back in 2008, directed by Kenny Ortega of High School Musical fame, which I think would have been a very different film. But production fell through until 2016 when director John M. Chu, who recently directed Crazy Rich Asians, became attached to the project. It's garnered a lot of acclaim and criticism since its release. Many are calling into question the casting in particular, and this is something Lin has addressed directly, stating, "It is clear that many of our dark-skinned Afro-Latino community don't feel sufficiently represented within it, particularly among the lead roles. In trying to paint a mosaic of this community, we fell short. I'm truly sorry."
So this film was originally intended to be released last year, and of course, because of COVID-19, the pandemic, they made the decision to not release this film last year and to wait until it could be seen in theaters, because that is how it should be seen, and you will see why. So if you can, please do see it in theaters, but if you can't, that's okay too. Do it in the safety of your own home.
Yeah, cool. And if you've seen this movie, hang out with us. See if your opinions match up with ours. If you haven't seen the movie, we're not going to spoil anything for you, but we are going to discuss it. We're going to take a score in a little bit, and based on that cumulative score among the four of us, we're going to make a recommendation for you. So let's get the discussion officially started with Ashley Mae King. What'd you like? What'd you love? What not so much in the Heights?
Yes. First off, this film is just it's so fun. I first learned of Lin-Manuel Miranda through Hamilton. I think like a lot of people, but you see the blueprint of that all over In the Heights. This is the emotional, the musical, the lyrical blueprint that his entire career since has just spurred off of. I also really liked Anthony Ramos. I found him so incredibly charming, and I am so excited to see where his career goes from here. I hope we see so much more of him. As for what I loved, oh wowza. The cinematography was amazing. I feel like a lot of musical adaptations fall short in this category, but it's honestly where this film shines and retains all of that charm and all of that energy that you expect from a stage show. The way it has been staged for screen is really interesting too. And the two scenes that really come to mind are No Me Diga in the salon. You can easily tell that a lot of the choreography from the stage show has been retained in this and integrated really seamlessly with how the camera is moving through that scene. And I just think that number was so fun. Also in Paciencia y Fe, that number made me cry so much. It's just so moving and beautiful and symbolic, and the way the camera and the choreography were all working together just emphasized it. And wow, this movie made me cry way more than I expected it to. Sometimes I find musicals to be really cringe, but this one I was just so moved by. I was weeping like a baby from Nina's number Breathe on through the rest of the thing. As far as what I didn't like, there is a line that's repeated several times. Little details that tell the world we are not invisible. That line seems a little ironic in light of the controversy that's kind of eclipsed the criticism about the film lately. Man, and another thing I really didn't like was seeing Lin-Manuel Miranda in a tank top and cargo shorts. I don't care for it. It gave me secondhand embarrassment. I really can't explain it. It gave me the cringe. It gave me ick. Lin stans, please don't come for me, but I didn't like it.
I loved it, honey. Keep it going.
But that's it, really.
I don't know how many guapos you see pushing around snow cone carts in New York City, but I thought he reminded me of the guys pushing snow cone carts, but I feel you.
Well, I love his tank top and shorts. That's the culture. That's what,
Doug Reiser, what'd you like, what'd you love, what not so much?
What I loved was the music, the culture, the diversity of the nature of the film, of the writing. I mean, he really just developed something that I can relate to, being growing up where I grew up in Jersey, just I didn't grow up in Washington Heights, but I did grow up with a lot of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and Latin people, and I loved it. I mean, I loved the music. I loved the vibe. I mean, honestly, when I saw the show on Broadway, I was like, this music and the lighting was amazing. It was beautiful. It gave me chills. It really did. And if y'all haven't seen it on Broadway, I mean, that was a long time ago, but the lighting and that vibe and that tone really just brought strength to that community. And again, a non-Latin man, vibing with that just really gives me chills. The film was incredible. Miranda, that dude that guy's got so much talent. Amazing. It's so amazing. But if you haven't grown up in a community with Latin American and Afro Americans, and it's hard to explain. It really is. And you can relate to that. But I think overall, the one thing I did not like there's really not I didn't like about it. I loved everything about the relationships, the community aspect, and what the overall vibe was. There's really nothing I didn't like about it, to be honest. The length of it, did I like that? No, I mean, I wanted to see more. So
after 2.5 hours, you wanted to see more.
It's a long movie, Doug.
Yes.
It's a long movie.
Because that's what I lived, and that's where I grew up, and I lived around that community. So
sure.
Doug, did you only watch the trailer? I mean,
must have.
It's 2 hours and is it 22 minutes?
No.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy.
Dude, I saw the film and I saw it on Broadway. Like what? No.
Muy bueno. Karis, what'd you like, what'd you love, what not so much in the Heights?
Oh man, lot to love. I'm a big fan of musicals, and I think modern musicals for me fall short a lot of the times. But this one did not fall short in any way whatsoever. Not only were there big thematic musical numbers to encompass a theme, a motive, some sort of visual concept, but it was narrative as well, and it used so many different styles of music as well. We had R&B, we had rap, we had a little soul in there. We had some swing and some blues and some jazz and
soul.
And there's just it was so dynamic. The music, that's the word that I would use, dynamic, and not just musically. Choreography, the dancing, used modern dancing, classic dancing, and then the really, really high art, the high performance art of using dance to tell a narrative, was built in behind every scene. And in every movement, I felt that each dance piece was specifically saying something. It wasn't just there for show, like, oh, here, look at these cool tricks that I'm doing. It said something. And And that just, and the color, and John M. Chu, the way that he filmed this movie. There was a pool scene where he's filming from on top of the pool, and it looks like a flower blooming in the moonlight. It's absolutely incredible. And then going underneath and filming underneath the water and filming in the crowd. There was so much to love, and there was an original character in this film from the Broadway, the abuela, who's not necessarily the main character's literal abuela, but she is the abuela of the Heights community, right? And she is absolutely incredible. She was nominated for a Tony for her Broadway performance, and I would definitely not be surprised if she got a nomination from this one as well.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and then in the cast itself, there were new faces. The two leading ladies in this film, I believe this was their debut motion picture film that they did, and one has a music career and has just recorded an album. Check that out if you can. The vocalization, the lyrics were absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the poetry just oozed from these songs and from these vocalists as if it was just candy dripping from a tree and you wanted to lick it up. It was so juicy and so good, no matter how fast-paced or how slow it was. And I also love that dynamic of, you would have one of the main character, he would be spitting off this poetic rap so fast that you could hardly keep up. And then to contradict that, you would have was it Veronica? What was her name? Vanessa. So Vanessa would come in with these long, drawn out tones, and the whole movie was like that. The color, the dancing, the music, everything coming together, weaving into this absolutely incredible representation of how strong the Latino community is and how strong their family values are and how important they are to their way of life. And how it talked on, being nostalgic for back home and having these strong ties to their community that they're living in and making a name, for the new generation and in respect of the older generation. There's so much to love. I think the only thing I did not particularly like too much was at the very beginning of the movie, there was this structural foundation of poverty. Yet, typical to musicals, they tend to go over the top. And of course, this one does go over the top in some situations. And I think that some of that created this dissonance for me that was like, kind of took me out of the narrative, kind of took me out of the story, because it's like, we're so poor, we can't afford this, that, and the other. But then there's these huge fireworks going off and all of this stuff happening, and for me that took me out of the story a little bit. But overall, absolutely fantastic film. Couldn't say enough about it.
Yeah.
Rosie, what'd you love? What'd you like? What not so much?
Well, I like that it takes place in New York City. The bridges and the bodegas and the blackout, very New York. And if you've been to New York City, then you know that there's nothing like the neighborhoods of New York City. It's a pretty special piece of real estate. So that right off the bat is always a great setting for a film. And obviously this movie is not just about the people of the neighborhood. It's also about the neighborhood itself. And it's kind of a character, in its own right. So I really like that. I like the fact that Jimmy Smits is in this movie, for all you LA Law fans out there that wonder what happened to Jimmy. I don't know, but he's in this movie and he's really good. He plays Nina Rosario's father and does a great job. Mark Anthony's in this movie. I had no idea.
What a shock.
And does a really nice job. He plays Sonny's dad.
Yeah.
And a small part, but God, I love Mark Anthony. I love his music. He's a good actor too. He's got a good little part in this. So I think for any of you Mark Anthony fans, I think you'll be surprised at the job he does. Really nice piece of acting. I liked also that this movie seems to like have storylines at all ages. You got kids, you got older people, abuela, but you got all the in between. I think this movie can appeal to all ages. I like that as well. But what I loved was, simply just the cast. when you watch this movie, you can't help but appreciate what a production it is. And you certainly know the work that must go into something like this. So Anthony Ramos and Corey Hawkins and Leslie Grace, just to name a few names, just fantastic. And these are people I had never even heard of. These are not household names. So you watch this movie, you'll find yourself Googling right after, the cast and finding out who they are. And a lot of them are just recording artists, but really top notch. I love the big, massive ensemble dance sequences and they're dancing everywhere. They're dancing in the barrios. They're dancing in hair salons. They're dancing in swimming pools.
Defying Gravity.
Defying Gravity.
That's a different musical.
One of the things I thought about was the ratio of music to like regular dialogue scenes, because when I think of other musicals, maybe Grease or whatever, it seems somewhat even. This is, I think, leans more to music. The narrative of the movie obviously they use the dialogue in non-musical scenes, but much of it is sort of pushed forward through the music, which I liked. So I was cool with that, and I really enjoyed it. But the reason I mentioned that is because when there were these scenes in between these big musical numbers, I thought they were nice touches. They were compelling. They were profound. They were deep. One in particular that I think about is a scene in Abuela's kitchen with the character Nina Rosario. And by the way, Abuela in this movie, if you haven't seen it, is the neighborhood grandmother, and she sort of takes these young characters under her wing. And she's in this scene I'm talking about, she's telling Nina Rosario about when her mother came to the United States from Cuba. And the line that I really like, it's really good writing. She said that she felt like a grain of sand from the beaches that she had left. Simple little line, simple little piece of writing, but really touched me, really moved me. So I liked that. One other quick thing I loved, that these little details in the movie. She had these ornate floral stitched napkins that her mother had left her in the movie, the Abuela, and so the line is that you touched on, but I sort of took it another way. She said we had to assert our dignity in small ways, referring to these napkins. That's why these napkins are beautiful. Little details that tell the world we are not invisible. That speaks to me. Okay, and it certainly speaks to minorities. I think it speaks to the left out, the left behind, the underdogs, the dreamers, if you will. So I loved this movie. Just absolutely loved it. Thought it was profound. Thought it was entertaining. It felt like I accomplished something when it was over. And at times I was emotional too. So that's what I look for when I go see a movie. But anyway, why don't we take a score?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Don't let me down, guys.
What you got, Dougie?
Don't let me down at all. I mean, I give this a 10. I love it. Love the culture. Love the music. Love the vibrancy. Love the connection with humanity. It's just love everything about it. There's not one element of this film or play that was written by Miranda that I did not like, and that's my
cool. Karis.
10 all day, baby.
Ashley.
I loved it. I think it's great. It's not a 10 for me. It's a 9. It's a 9.
Yeah.
I'll take a 9.
10 for me, and if my math is correct, that would be a 39.
39, baby.
Our recommendation, the JuJuBeez recommendation for the film In the Heights is
Clear your schedule.
clear that schedule.
See it tonight.
Esta noche. Do it. Ashley Mae King.
Yes.
watch it.
This film has a runtime of 2 hours and 23 minutes. It is rated PG-13 for profanity, some suggestive themes, and alcohol and tobacco use. You can see it in theaters, or it is also streaming on HBO Max.
Quick shout out to our house mom, Jennifer Maple Moth. Thank you for giving us shots that are asymmetrical, but you keep our champagne cold, and we appreciate that. Big shout out to Anthony B. Frazier for doing our post work. And for my friends here, mi amigos, Doug Reiser, Karis Carter, Ashley Mae King, JuJuBeez. Take 2. Hope we did it. Thanks, y'all.
I think we did. This is great. Buenos noches.
I was wondering.